We are in South Africa. A year ago, where were we?
Thailand.
6,000 nautical miles later, 2 little babies, endless boat breakdowns, lots of squalls and storms.
It's been a heck of a year.
It's been a really tough year. It's been a really exhilarating year. And it's been one of our most memorable years to date.
It has had a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and a lot of life in between.
5, 4, 3.
Can you breathe, kiddo? I didn't think we were gonna make it at some points. Like,
I didn't either. So what we want to do in this video is take us back 12 months and talk about how we got from Thailand to South Africa and all the challenges that came up along that journey.
Where are we gonna start?
Let's start in Thailand. What was happening? So,
Oh my gosh. I thought we would never leave Thailand. You know, Thailand's a funny place for us. It was kind of like a love-hate relationship.
we never thought we would leave that place. One, for babies and COVID, and two, the amount of boat work we did there.
So it's launch day. How you feeling?
Exhausted. It's supposed to be exciting launching, but I think what happens is you get to the end of your refit and yeah, you're tired. And then you're nervous that all the through hauls are gonna not leak and engines will start. But
I'm more worried about when the boat gets put on the trailer and then it starts moving through the yard, and it's like, I feel like these boats should never be lifted.
put 2 lines to shore, which we're just going to cast off at about midnight once she floats up, and then pop around out there to the marina and enjoy a beer. Sounds like it'll go straight forward. You coming?
I guess so, hey?
You know, there's moments in life where you just have to stop and say, this is pretty cool. Like, this doesn't happen all the time, you know? I don't know, this will be a memory. This will be a memory.
Hopefully a good one. Just as we were about to leave Thailand and we had plans to leave and we had a weather window and we had everything ready to go, we couldn't leave. There was huge problems with our engines. Every time we tried to motor somewhere, our engines shut down.
So in diesel tanks, there's this microbe that can grow in the diesel. It doesn't actually grow in the diesel, it grows in the air between the diesel and the tank. And it poops in the tank, and that stuff
Is the most disgusting, slimy, disgusting sludge you've ever seen in your entire life.
This is actually the feces, or the poo, of the microbes that live in the tank. It's not actually bugs itself. The bugs live in the water-air barrier.
we were under pressure to leave Thailand because the other thing that was happening was there's a monsoon season in all of Asia, all of Indonesia, and over into basically the Maldives, which is our next stop. And if you don't leave in time, the wind switches quite suddenly from being following wind to headwinds. Part of what we're not telling here is we had inspection ports made in the tanks, and
There was no way to access our tanks. So first of all, there was no way to get into our tanks. And Ben had hired a metal fabricator. So Ben hired a fabricator to come and put these huge inspection ports in our tanks. Not huge, I guess they're normal human hand size, maybe Ben hand size. His hands are big. We go in there to clean them out, and there's baffles, so you had to do 2 in each tank.
All right, we are on iteration 3. The first iteration was simply to put a plate on top of the tank and then tap the tank and suck that plate down. But that was not an option because it's only a 3mm tank, and then the taps would possibly rip out. The second iteration was basically this, which is a 2 bottom rings, and there's 2 so you can fit them inside.
This caused endless headache.
endless.
Wow. What can I say? What an epic 24 hours it's been. We have busted a brand new air conditioner. We have found out that our inspection portholes in these diesel tanks, the coverage for them are leaking, They need to be remanufactured. I have to pump this out again. We have discovered that the weather window is probably closing. You have times, especially late at night, where you're like doubting everything. And then you wake up in the morning and you say, well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. This ain't rocket science. We're sealing a tank. That's not that hard. Whatever happens with the weather happens. We're on our boat. We're family again. We are living the life, as some would say. Yeah, life is crazy. It feels out of control. It feels very fast-paced these days. It's Friday now. We spent an entire week at the dock again. Entire week working on the boat. Ashley goes out with the kids all day long in the car to the malls, trying to entertain them, trying to get them off the boat while I work. And then, given it's Friday, I have to sit down tomorrow, edit a video, and the week begins again on Monday. But every day we tell ourselves this is the end. This has got to be over soon. And every week there's something else that pops up. So it's hard to say when this will actually end. I think we're close now though. We may have to leave without an air conditioner. We may have to leave without the depth sounder working. I forgot to mention that's not working. We may have to leave without radar working. That's stopped working. So yeah, we're leaving though. We're leaving. And we're staying aboard. It's happening.
Also, I think he's pretty much outgrown this thing, but we're keeping him in it because I still haven't sewn his lee cloth for his bed. And really, Ben has to actually put the tools away for more than 5 seconds so that Bodhi can sleep on the bed that's assigned to him. So this should happen next week. Next week.
Discussions behind the scenes were intense, and it was not a happy time on board. But we were considering all of our options, going back into Indonesia, up to the Philippines, flying home, calling quits.
I don't think we ever really went there.
Problem is we don't have a home left, so there was nowhere to fly home, really.
Yeah, that sure ups the game, eh? When you really, like, properly sell everything,
you're committed.
You're committed. We had basically missed the wind windows, and we're left with, there was no wind. We had to motor, I think it was 10 days, now I can't even remember. 11 days? It was a long ways. We had to motor all the way to the Maldives.
So we went out in search of jerry cans because we needed a lot of jerry cans to line the decks to get to the Maldives. We went around driving for a day looking for jerry cans. We found some that had like...
It looks a bit dirty in there, eh?
So like these are not new cans. They've been used, but they're for resale. Methyl salicate. I have no idea what that is. Nothing's water. Problem is with many of these, they were used for soap. So then you had diesel, and you have soapy diesel. No.
Some that had oil in them, others had like medical products in them. So we ended up finding new cans. I wouldn't call them jerry cans, but they were plastic cans.
Hey man, they were like green, they kind of had the same shape. They were made in Thailand, so they mostly didn't leak, but no, they were great. Ben has since been consistently giving those away because they do leak a little bit. Tomorrow we leave the marina and we set off offshore. Yeah, hopefully we're not turning around. But we couldn't find a weather window to sail, and we're worried that this is our last chance to make a crossing to the Maldives. Yeah, I know. You know, it's really quite funny. I just feel like any second something's gonna go wrong and we're not gonna leave. And I'm gonna go back to the aquarium with the kids, which is where we've pretty much lived while Ben did boat work.
And I think the lesson there is, you know, sometimes it feels like you've come so far, and then that last little bit to just get to that next spot seems like so hard to get over. And for us, it was that breaking point, and we managed to push through that, and we set off.
30 minutes in, how are you feeling?
Long way to go.
Anyways, we set sail, and set sail for the paradise known as the Maldives. What happened when we arrived in the Maldives, Ash?
I don't know if we should go into that, but we and you maybe didn't behave the best on check-in.
Well,
So we got the Coast Guard here in the Maldives, and they're trying to take away my spear gun from Indonesia. Just actually disabled it, we cut it, and now they're trying to take it away from us.
what we didn't realize is how strict they are in the Maldives. Often when you arrive in a country, you know, you can not negotiate with the officials, but you can reason with them. And one of the rules was no guns, and included in that is spear guns. And I had declared, 2 spear guns, not knowing that, I just want to be honest. I didn't know that it was not allowed. We had an agent. You're supposed to have an agent. We had an agent. He didn't advise us of that. He saw the paperwork, submitted it to the authorities. He didn't find that either. And I showed them one spear gun, which was a lobster snare. Okay, not a spear gun. The other one was an ornamental spear gun from Indonesia.
I will try one more thing, okay?
No. It's no longer a gun.
I mean, if I'm gonna give it to you, I might as well give you a broken gun. I'm trying to compromise here.
You're trying to compromise yourself.
Can I keep this off?
Now we have to declare it as 2.
I'm trying to compromise here, guys.
Anyways, a huge argument ensued in terms of whether this is a spear gun or not. It was their call that it was, and I kind of screwed up breaking it over my knee. Officials see things in black and white. Border officials often see things in black and white. Police, customs, quarantine, they always assume they see things in black and white. Unlike us, we see things in shades of gray. And you have to play by the rules. You're a guest in their country.
I think there's some emotion, some exhaustion, and a lot that kind of went into this. Like, they're treating it like a gun, like a big gun, like a real gun that actually goes bang. This thing literally shot, if it would even have done it, because the elastic was so rotten, it would have shot 1.5 feet.
We didn't get our cruising permit right when we arrived, so we were kind of stuck in the port town for, I think it was 2 weeks almost. Then we took a vacation from life, and we went to, what was it, the Hard Rock.
I don't know. There's one marina in Maldives, and we went there and
Oh, it is nice.
tied our boat up to the dock and went to do takeout food, and they had a pool and a beach, and we just enjoyed our time there.
It is stunning. The resorts in the Maldives are beautiful.
Yeah, go to a resort when you're in the Maldives. Don't sail through the Maldives.
Yeah, it was a lot more challenging finding calm, safe anchorages that would stay that way for long periods of time. They're often very deep. You're hanging off sort of cliffs, and when you're within the atoll, you weren't allowed to anchor too near the resorts, and some islands are just bloody private, so you weren't allowed to anchor anywhere near them. So it was a bit challenging finding spots.
Yeah, the Maldives as a whole was a mixed experience for us. It was tough sailing there. We were late in the season. We were sailing south through the Maldives to get into the southerly trade winds, and often that resulted in beating into the wind for days at a time. We had a moment where we got stuck.
It was like 30 knots, and we're going close hauled, and it's 30 or 40 knots apparent at sometimes. It's gusting 35 knots apparent, I think. I'm pushing it. I'm not sure what Ben would do, and this is the other thing, is because you're alone on shift at night, I'm always the one that maybe pushes it a little bit more, and Ben's the one who takes it more safe. So I hope he's okay with what I've chosen to do, because really that's all you can do, is hope that your partner is okay with your sailing choices. But we make independent decisions when you're on shift, and you have to totally trust your partner to make safe choices. And we're close hauled, and I got a little bit of this out and a little bit of that, and Ben comes up and says, "It's awful down here."
I was trying to sleep.
And I'm like, "Yeah, it's awful up here too, dude." And he's like, he rolls in some of my sail. And then I wasn't making headway anymore. Like, this is Ben's classic thing. Ben comes up from, like, he's pissed off because he's been woken up. He can't sleep. You've got too much sail up, Ashley. I'm like, okay, dude. He rolls in some sail, and I'm like, whatever you want. I've learned to just say whatever you want. And then the boat can't sail anymore because you do have to actually have a little bit of sail out to make the boat go forward.
Yeah, we call it seagull shitting in our world. Yeah, a seagull comes in, shits, and then leaves, and then the whole situation gets screwed up, and the seagull is left. That was me.
This has been by far one of the worst passages we've had in a long time. It's been a nightmare, honestly. It's all over the map. The wind speed's all over the map. The wind direction's all over the map, and it's never good. The forecast for the wind just was completely wrong on all models. Like, we check GFS, Spike, EC, I don't know, you call it predicament.
He comes on shift and he's like, we're too close to shore. We're gonna like crash into the thing. It's like a lee shore. I'm like, we can just tack, dude.
Like, no, we're going around the bottom of the atoll and the lee of the atoll, and then we'll be inside the atoll during the day, and we can make it up to the anchorage during the day. And I thought this was genius, because once you're inside the atoll, you know, what could go wrong? You know, it's calm, it's protected. No. These atolls are huge at the Maldives, and two, when it's high tide, the waves and swell roll right over the edge of the atoll, and the swell just kicks right through the atoll.
And it's actually almost worse because it's like short, steeper, choppier waves within the atoll, and it was bloody windy, like 35 knots, like steady, like it was bad.
So we banged up to windward for the rest of the day till late in the afternoon, and got to the anchorage finally. We were so beat. The kids, you know, we don't mention the kids often, but they do fine. But you know, Bodhi he was kind of starting to crawl, but he was in his bouncy chair, just getting whiplashed up and down. You could tell how bad it was.
Luckily, Bodhi was still taking 2 naps in, so like half the day he's sleeping, which is like, thankfully. But we were doing night passages because it was easier for us with the children. Like, we would sail at night on purpose because they were in bed, and it was easier on us adults.
Yeah, and that was a big learning lesson there. Is, you know, the kids will sleep through anything, and if you just adjust your schedule to theirs, then so that they stay safe and comfortable, then, well, that means sailing at night, and that ended up working much better because we could pound to windward when we needed to, and they could just sleep through it and get airborne in their sleep.
Yeah, Bodhi sleeps in the bow, and he never complains. Like, he's just in there, whoopa, whoopa, whoopa. But I'm sure he feels weightless part of the time. We finally left the Maldives. We were heading to the Seychelles, which isn't too far.
No, I mean, you could
Was
almost
it a week?
draw a straight line between Maldives and Seychelles, and it should take about a week, right?
I
Week
think so,
to
yeah.
10 days. It took about 8-9 days.
We've had everything under the sun. We've had upwind, downwind.
Everyone was working with a weather router, and the weather router was saying to everyone to go south. And Ben came up on shift one night, and I said, if we don't tack now, I'm done. Like, I'm not going any farther south. And we were already the most northern boat.
We're starting to point east. Like, it was not just south. We're starting to curve around. Like, let's tack.
We turned the corner last night. It's big seas, but we're finally flying the code 0. We're finally in trade winds, and we're finally sailing more or less towards our destination, which is a real plus on the psyche.
Always go with your gut. If you do not want to go follow the pack, if you do not want to follow the weather router's advice, you do not have to.
And I think that's a big thing is, you know, just because there's a big group of people going in one direction doesn't mean they have the right info or are making the best decision.
Do not always listen to those weather routers. Do not always listen to all your friends. Make the best decision for you and your boat.
Later on in that passage, it got pretty tough.
It was very nasty waves.
Nasty waves, and
We'd been beating up wind forever in the Maldives, and the boat had sort of started to feel a little weird.
loose, and things were kind of creaking more, and you know, it's a lagoon, and leopards, same thing. You know, they move. They're
All
not.
catamarans move. All of these fiberglass catamarans that are are built the way this one is built, they move. And once they're old, they move more.
And, boats built out of carbon fiber, high performance boats, they don't move, but, it comes with a price tag. Anyways, I started looking around and I'm like, okay, well, this cupboard's kind of opening and there's a bit of a gap here. And then I started looking down in the halls. I'm like, stuff's really starting to move.
It's funny too, like you can see a crack at the bottom of this panel, bottom of this bulkhead, but then at the top it pinches together and it's like, they're not in line anymore, they're going away from each other.
So we've all noticed this just since leaving the Maldives, and we had kind of a nasty passage the last couple passages in the Maldives to windward, and also heading out of the Maldives south.
Possible huge implications in terms of finishing the circumnavigation.
Try not to be scared that we won't make it. So I don't think I'm scared that we're not making it. It's just, what does this mean for us? Like,
the time, the cost, if they find the issue, can they find the right issue? I've gone through this boat with a fine-tooth hair comb for hours and hours checking the bulkheads. And there's obviously something else still wrong. Maybe it's the bridge deck.
Ben's been working on this boat for so long, and he does the majority of the work, obviously, on sort of the maintenance of the structural part of the boat and the engines. And for you, it was, you're pretty done. Pretty broken, pretty over it, and we just needed a break. So we popped home to Canada. It's summertime in Canada, and Ben needed a break. We had to go home to deal with some things anyway, and as you do, life happens.
Sometimes you just need a bit of a break to attack something with new energy. We got back to the Seychelles and
came with your meter, and
I came with my moisture meter and stethoscope and fiberglass. Started attacking the problem top down. So I started measuring for moisture throughout the whole boat. I started tapping all the bulkheads. So I started drilling into the bridge deck, and sure enough, we basically had compost in our bridge deck in parts. And
Whoa.
That was one of those moments where I was like, oh, that's not good, but
Wow.
I kind of felt good knowing I'd found the problem. Because
then we could fix it and we could move on.
I went through a lot of multi-tool bits. I went through a lot of...
I think you went through an entire multi-tool, actually.
Yeah, I broke a multi-tool and we fixed the boat.
We booked an Airbnb for like 10 days, and then we booked another one for another 10 days, and then we booked another one for, I think, no, I don't know how many we went through, but I think we changed apartments 3 times while we were there.
The accommodation was more expensive than the actual repair. I mean, I was doing the repair and the supplies weren't that much, and you know, Seychelles, you know, one of the most expensive places on earth to have accommodation. So anyways, we got through it, and it felt good. I mean, we were ready to continue the circumnavigation. And it kind of felt like, well, what else could go wrong? You know, what else could possibly go wrong at this point? So
could we get a break? Could we have not a breakdown? Like, actually, no break.
Can we just like go sailing?
Could we just have some easy going time and not be fixing things?
The next problem was getting south from the Seychelles to what we thought would be Mayotte and then Africa. And there's a compression zone at the top of Madagascar, which is wicked windy. And that was going to be essentially the test of my repairs. Middle of the ocean, super strong winds, big waves, and
it didn't disappoint, you know.
yeah,
It was amazing.
we hit it hard.
the conditions right now I equate to basically being in a washing machine agitation cycle. You know, the old school kind where they go
Too. It's only 28 degrees Celsius, the water, which is crazy. It's like we're hitting potholes or something, but there's no potholes out here. I think everyone almost does, though. There's a few days there. I mean, unless you can get a calm passage. There's a few, if there's wind, it accelerates there, and it is properly rough, as people would say here.
So I'll show you what I'm looking at. This is where we're at. That's the tip of Madagascar. That's where we need to go.
if you think too far in the future, you sometimes get lost in what could go wrong, and you just have to take it down into a smaller moment, into a smaller time frame, and just say, okay, we're going to deal with, the next 6 hours until the next forecast, and then we'll make a decision.
It worked. Like, trust yourself.
Yeah.
Trust yourself to have made the right decision.
We got to my yacht. Boat's fine. The repairs held up, and we're like, okay, Africa, here we come. My Madagascar was still closed. It was off limits for sailboats because I have no idea why the borders are closed to
Sailboats.
So maritime law allows you to shelter in any country for, I believe it's 48 hours. And authorities can't force you to not. You are on maritime law. So that was our plan, is to simply transit through using maritime law. So what we did is we bypassed the northern section of Madagascar, where all the officials are, and went to a place called Nosy Lava, which is very welcoming to sailors.
They're excited to see people because that's how they make a bit of extra cash. Let's be real.
They make extra cash.
They do trades.
Touring us around. They trade for what they have, fish for, food and goods that we bring.
So we are actually out here doing this with our 2 little babies. And it's working. And it's awesome. And we're having the time of our lives. It has been a revelation that you can do this. It's not unsafe. We do not need crew. We are having fun, and the kids are thriving, and it is amazing.
It's a lot of work.
No, man, it's fine.
No, it's a lot more work than it used to be. You're either on shift and dealing with kids, or you're off shift sleeping. There's no in between. There's no downtime. But I think what we want to say is it's safe for the kids. Often we get comments, oh, the kids so close to their lifelines and you're putting your kids in dangerous situations. And what you have to remember is there's someone behind the camera filming that, and we're within arm's reach. And the other thing is, if things get really nasty out, if we have an emergency, we can put the kids inside.
There are safe areas on this boat for the children. We've created it that way. They have their beds where they are tied. They're basically they have lee cloth, and it's high, so they can't get out unless we come and help them. Bodhi can't climb out, so it's like being in a crib. We also have we can close the doors in the saloon, and we have baby gates at the top of both stairs. So there is effectively a play area for them that is completely safe. And they love it, man. They don't think anything of it. Sailing across the oceans has been some of our funnest times as a family. I mean, you get to see squids on the deck and catch fish with Dad, and sunsets and dolphins and sunrises if they're up early. And it has been some of the most beautiful moments we've had with the kids. And I couldn't imagine not doing it with them. I couldn't imagine not doing it and then not having them with us is just ridiculous. I think having already lived this life, it made it a lot easier for us to bring them on board and just integrate them into our already known life. Were we apprehensive, when we left Thailand with 2 children and hadn't actually sailed far with a 2-year-old who she wasn't even 2, she was 1.5, and a 4-month-old?
We were worried before we left.
I'm not sure worried. I think conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really worried about it, but I was. Yeah, maybe I was a little bit. I was apprehensive. I guess a little worried. Maybe I was a little worried.
They don't have to pull ropes or clean the toilet at this age, but they can't be having tantrums and, acting outrageous when, you're offshore sailing. So they have to integrate with the lifestyle and with the family. And I think it's for the better because you're part of the family. You're part of this adventure. You're part of this life. And yeah, it's real.
It is not dangerous not having crew. We are very competent as parents and as sailors, and I do not feel that we are putting our children in danger by not having another person on board. They have a blast. It doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter what beach we're on, what dirty parking lot we're in, what yacht club that's covered in mud. My yacht was just a muddy pit for their yacht club. The kids love it. Bodhi ate rocks there. He's fine.
I think having kids has made me realize I need to have an impact on the world. I want to have an impact on the world because I want to make the world a better place. And part of that is showing through our videos that all of these people living on this tiny little rock have more similarities than differences. We have similar dreams, and yes, there is a great divide in terms of, you know, our wealth and actual physical possessions, but there's more similarities than differences, and I think that is where we're going to take this channel, which is make the world a better place. The next part was coming around the bottom of Africa. You know, Cape of Good Hope is so scary, and you know, you're rounding the bottom of Africa, there's a lot of wind, big waves, and there is.
This is where it starts to get hectic again, is that there's these huge fronts that come roaring up there, and it's headwinds, like hardcore, like you don't go. And it's wind against current, you do not go south.
And there is actually a lot of fear out here in the sailing circles as well. We're normal human beings, and we worry about, you know, big storms and sinking and dying. But what you have to realize is a lot of that can be controlled by your own decisions in terms of what you're capable of in your own boat, what sails you have, how fast you can move the boat, and what weather window you pick. And a lot of the next jumps down around the bottom of Africa, we're really just analyzing the weather window for hours and hours and hours on end.
We knew we had to go fast, and we pushed it.
We pushed it hard, and it was the best sailing of our lives.
Whoa! We just went so fast. Holy smokes. 17.7. Now we're doing 16.4. I don't think Nahoa's ever gone 17.7 knots at any point in time. Ever. Until now.
Then we hopped from East London around to
Naisna,
which is renowned to be the most dangerous harbor entrance in the world, and it was kind of fun surfing a couple waves in. Often, like, these places that you almost don't go to because of, well, a dangerous harbor entrance, or, you know,
the rumors that it's too hard, or it's too scary,
dangerous,
or you're never going to be able to make it, or you
like
just...
Papua New Guinea was like that, Madagascar was like that, Naisna was like that. Like, these are our best memories, our best places we've been to, and partly because there's fewer people that go there, and partly because you've overcome an obstacle, and partly because they're just awesome. They're truly awesome.
Everyone said go to Naisna, so we went there, and it was awesome.
And then it was a small hop and a skip jump around, you know, Cape of Good Hope. And 8 years of sailing around the world, and we're at the Point of Good Hope. Incredible achievement, I think. Feel good about it. Top of the world!
And then we get here.
And we got to Cape Town. And, you know,
And it's like,
the ocean race
Yay!
came in shortly after, and, you know, it was a celebration and beautiful.
so it is an amazing feeling to be here in Cape Town. You know, it's like you never really think you're going to make it this far, and here we are. It seems a very long ways when you're first setting out. And I guess my message is that that first step is very, very hard. It's very hard to get over that first hump. It's very hard to get through your first storm. It's very hard to cross that first ocean. It's very hard to cross that first body of water, even if it's only an overnight sail. It is hard the first time. And then the next time it's easier. And then the next time it's easier. And that next storm, really, it's not even a storm at all. It's just some heavier weather that we need to, you know, furl in a little sail for, or put a reef in.
It's like when your kid falls off the bike, you put the kid back on the bike and minimize the pain, because if you make it a big deal and coddle them, they're not going to get back on the bike. So I think we lose out as adults. We sometimes get overwhelmed with fear and look at, you know, what happened, what could have happened. You just got to jump back on the horse, and you got to get through that next squall again. You got to get back on the boat. You got to get over those next big waves. You got to cross that ocean again.
You gotta fix that bridge deck. You gotta
fix more rot, you know. And the first time you fix rot, it's overwhelming and hard, and then the next time, oh, it's just balsa core.
Well, it only took them a few hours.
So, yeah, I think we lose that as adults. Is that first time is always the hardest, and you just got to get back on the bike.
Thanks for that tip, bud.
We'll leave it there, and we'll be back next week with showing you how we fumble with tools.